So at 7 o'clock, we will call the special village board meeting to order. If everyone would rise to say the pledge, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Clerk, please call the roll.
Mareska. Here. Jones.
Here.
March.
Here.
Parker.
Here.
And
Here.
Peotone. Here.
Public comment and/or questions on any non-agenda item? None of that. We will move on to number 3, item A, proposal presentation from GMT LLC in regard to the vacant village administrator position. Gentlemen?
Should we just?
Yep, if you want to step up to the mic and just kind of introduce yourself and.
Well, GMT is a group of.
Who are you?
GMT is a group of 3 older fellows who have been around the village administration business for a long time. That's Gene Steinmarch, Mike Schofield, and Terry Berghardt. GMT was pretty imaginative when we did it. What we've proposed to do and what we've done in other communities is that we come into the community and frequently we're asked to conduct a search, which we do. We don't charge the same amount of money as some other search companies. And we conduct a local search and a nationwide search. Of course, there are national and statewide magazines, publications wherein you can advertise for these types of people. Additionally, because we're known substantially throughout the area, we also know of a lot of people who are looking for a job, or who may be looking for a job if we spur them a little bit. And so we not only conduct a search the way some distant person that you found in a magazine might conduct their search, we actually go out and try to find someone for the community. We don't, like I said, I think our price for that was $1,200 a month, and we think we can get it done in 3 months. We certainly will work with you on your specs for that person. I've told Steve what I think that person will probably cost you at a minimum, and I don't think the maximum will be much higher. We think the person will probably be a young person who's presently an assistant manager someplace and who's looking to move up to his first managerial position, or perhaps an older person who's trying to slow down a little bit and have a more rural job like this. But I don't know exactly what the person will be, but we think that's what the market will be. We think we can find you a good person. We've done it in other communities. We've done it for park districts and so forth. While we're doing, and by the way, we just want to have a conversation tonight. It's kind of like the Chinese menu, one from column A and one from column B. What we'd like to do is put someone in here, and in this case it would be Mike, part-time while the search is going on, just to help out with the day-to-day administration of the community. I don't know, Steve, if you're running the community right now and how grounded you are in doing all these things, but somebody should be keeping things going with regard to budgeting and receivables and expenditures and so forth. Additionally, and what I'm particularly interested in doing, you guys know because I met with you before, is I've got several potential clients for redevelopment here, or for development here. And I'd really like to work with them. Steve said, well, perhaps we should wait until the new guy comes on board, which might be 3 months from now or something. I'm not sure that these guys are going to make their decisions based on waiting for us or whatever. So I have some, what I consider to be pretty good ideas, pretty good relationships with some people who I've spoken to about Peotone. And I think that we can keep that ball rolling. And so I'd like to do that for you within the confines of what we've requested. And I think I'm going to let Mike talk for a moment. Now that I've used it all up, Mike.
Yeah, I've never heard any of that before. Gee, that's amazing. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Mike Schofield. When I asked Gene, had he met with the board previously, and he said, yes, he had, which really surprised me that you've asked us to come back tonight. But just a little bit of background on myself. I've started in planning and public administration back in the mid-70s. I worked for Will County Planning Department for a couple of years. I had a contract with the state of Illinois to provide services out in South Cook County to South Suburban Mayors and Managers Association. They ended up buying up my contract. I was with them for 9 years as deputy director. As I was leaving mayors and managers, I was offered the position in Oak Forest as city administrator. And quite frankly, and I'll tell you this flat out, I never considered myself management material. My background more is in planning and development and engineering. But one of the things that I've always been able to do somewhat reasonably well is I'm a pretty good judge of people and talent. That's what kind of got us into the executive search part of our business. We've had some success on that. But other than going in Oak Forest, I was a manager in Homewood. And then, I have no idea why I did this, I decided I wanted to go to the private side. Ended up in civil engineering and worked with Baxter and Woodman for 16 years. And I've had contracts with Robinson, who I believe is your engineering firm.
Yes.
Bowman Consulting we've worked with, K Plus Engineering. Basically, one mayor told me, he says, got 2 Rolodexes. He's got one for everybody who's met, one for me. He said, but I said, Mayor, it's always hard to hit a moving target. You know, you have to keep moving. That's the idea. Chinese say better to leave a day too soon than a second too late. So that's been sort of my mantra. Looking at your situation and what you want to accomplish, I think what Gene said, what struck me was, I think you should look at what we might be able to do for you as a menu, with a number of items there that we can go into more detail in writing for you so that you can get a feel of what we may be able to accomplish for you, and also maybe what you need to look with other people. One of the challenges you're going to have is, if you look at the market, public administration, good managers are in demand, and municipalities are paying pretty good money. So I think what Gene said really rang true. I think what you need to look at, and by no means this is a slight, is look at the assistant manager market. I think you'll get some people that are hungry, that have cut their teeth in another community, and understand what public administration is all about. My own situation, I was working for a council of governments when I was offered a position in Oak Forest. So I think what you want to do is basically, there's no magic in public administration. It's a people skill issue, the ability to communicate, gain consensus, and to put a team together, and to maintain that team. And that's what we'd like to do for you, is see if we can find a person with those skills. I don't know, quite frankly, how you're viewing this interim. It sounds like a lot of it's on your shoulders, Mayor. And the village clerk is really the glue that holds everything together. And I acknowledge that. Every clerk I've worked with has done yeoman's duty, and it's much appreciated. I know you probably don't get what to do, but anyway, you do. Village clerks are an amazing group. What we could do for you might be more beneficial if in fact we come up with an arrangement that I'm not on a regular basis sitting in the office, that both Gene from his development standpoint and me in terms of maintaining the contacts you need to position yourself to get what you need accomplished, an aggressive capital improvement program, the ability to support the kind of development that Gene's talking about, as well as just improving daily operations, whether that's participating with the Will County Governmental League in their surface transportation program and leveraging funds that you have on a road you want improved, getting it on the system. Or I think in the case of one development, maybe it's an entirely new road that we're
No, it's
talking about.
88th Avenue.
Yeah, okay, all right. I know this is stream of consciousness, but it's the first time I've met any of you, except you, Mayor.
Right.
And you, but we won't even talk about how we meet, right? But, you know, the bottom line is, we're here to work with you and not come up with, and seeing if what we can do fits with what you want to accomplish. I mean, it's pointless if we're going in different directions. So, we're here to listen to you, we're here to put a program together, or if in fact that doesn't work, if there's one aspect of what we've talked about tonight, whether it's executive search, we'd work with you on that. If it's the development thing, and I, quite frankly, even if he wasn't in the room, I'd talk favorably about Gene. Gene's a very aggressive developer in terms of identifying opportunities and putting people in the same room together to hash it out. You know, we're here, and you know, I was going to talk to you about, yeah, and you would have access to the GMT hotline, which would be our cell phones, you know, and but we do have one of the things that we've been able to put together are some associates, some retired managers who are available, and this is, you know, we're not going to talk about, you know, double your money back, but what they would have, we would have access to them when issues came up. And this is something, quite frankly, when you get to a point in time in your career, I don't think we've ever hung up the phone on anyone, whether they're a client or not, who've asked for, what do you think? Or do you know someone who can do this? Or could you make a call to IDOT to see if we talk to the right person? It's the nature of things, you know, and you have to pay it forward. So we're pleased that you asked here tonight. We're here to listen to what you want to do and see if there's some common ground. So, thanks.
No, thank you. Trustees, do you have any questions for Gene or Mike?
I have a question. Of towns of our comparable size and the type of candidate you're referring to, what's the scale?
Well, I'd say it's 100,000. If that's what you're talking about, you're talking prices. Yeah.
I think you'll have to pay 100,000, and then we'll see if we have to get above that.
Now, if we
That
found,
would be our goal.
if we find, and again, you know, the universe of applicants, there could be someone at or near retirement, and I don't know if this is something you would want. That tends to make it seem, again, that maybe be going through, I'm sorry, I should stand up and peeking around. You don't want to go through this on a regular basis. I understand that. It's a royal pain in the neck. Although, you know, the longevity of, when I took the position in Oak Forest, I went to a manager who I thought was exceptional and asked his advice, because I had not been a public administrator. And I said, what do you think? And Oak Forest was a tough town, very political, Hatfields and McCoys. And they had live, is this live or did you tape
No,
this?
it's taped.
Okay, all right.
It'll be up tomorrow.
They had live, no delay, and it was crazy. But I asked Jim, what do you think? And he said, Mike, if you can do 3 years in Oak Forest, you can do 3 years anywhere. You'll be able to name your slot from there, because basically you've got your battle ribbons. You know, it's something though that is frustrating. You want continuity at the top. You want to hire someone who's there as a career. I mean, you're always, and if you got a good person, people are gonna be after it. I mean, or her. But nonetheless, that's what you want. But in terms of the marketplace, yeah, I would think, even for an assistant, 100,000 would be probably inappropriate with benefits. But that doesn't mean that you don't test the waters at where you are. And I think you're close to that, but you know, I wouldn't say it's all or nothing at all. I mean, that's why you'd hire someone to beat the bushes and see what's out there. And then we'd come back, and if the candidate list seemed inappropriate, we understand.
So I think what we would probably do, I mean, with anybody that we
Right.
did this with, we would set a range. You know, we would set a year to year, depending on experience. I think is where we'd have to
Yeah,
be.
experience too, yeah.
And we'll winnow them down to you until we get to an appropriate number. I think we can bring you 3 good applicants. If you say, Gene, we'd like to talk to 6, then we'll bring you 6, but it gets to be pretty burdensome, you know, for a board.
Well, yeah, and you have to be careful on where you send the notice, because you will get people that are totally unqualified and simply, you know, belabor the process. Yeah, it's a good market in terms of it's flourishing. I know you've been, I hope I'm not telling stories out of school in terms of HR Gov.
Yeah, we had a proposal from them
Yeah,
last
right.
Monday.
Right,
So
right.
we heard that proposal last Monday at Committee
Okay.
of the Whole, and that's why we've asked you guys here
Good,
tonight
great, great, yeah.
to hear yours.
I mean, no, and they're legit.
Yep.
They're a spin-off of
Paul,
Paul Rayum, I think. The Par Group, I think, was the parent company, and then I think they morphed off of that. But you go on their website and you see what towns are advertising at what levels. You know, it's staggering, which I could kick myself for not staying in it. Yeah, what was I thinking? Anyway, and first I met Gene in 1978. He was community development director in Homewood, and I was working for South Suburban Mayors and Managers Association. So I think we both mutter under our breaths about where we could have been pension-wise right now. It keeps us young.
We do have an interesting group of people also, as Mike said, that we associate with.
Yeah.
We have a group of people who don't want to screw up their IMRF benefits.
Right.
So if they choose to take a temporary job, and we have one right now working, they work for GMT, the community pays us and we pay them.
Right.
So if we were helping you here and anything happened to the guy who's helping you here, we'd instantly have somebody in here who's talented and ready to go.
So your guys' proposal is twofold, right? You're gonna do the recruiting?
Right, the proposal that we've got, basically was broken down into, three levels. An interim administrator, the economic development, and then the job search. I think the administrator position that we were looking at was based on 12 hours a week, I think it was.
Yeah, I think there might be a mathematical error.
Yeah,
That's a good way to start. I would
had
like,
nothing to do with the numbers. I had nothing.
we can find you this person, we think, for $1,200 a month. It's what we do. And
Right,
so
and
that's,
that's
we
the
think in
search.
3 months, it's gonna cost you $3,600.
Right.
I would like to work for you for $2,000 a month. I charge $100 an hour, or I can be on retainer. Believe me, you're better off with me on retainer, because I'm not a television guy.
Oh, yeah.
At night, I work on the computer, and I do drawings, and I do contracts and things. So $2,000 a month, believe me, you're gonna get twice that much out of me.
Yeah.
What I put in for Mike was 4 hours a day, 3 times a week, 12 hours a week, 48 hours a month for $100 an hour or 4,800. So it should have been capped at 8,000, and I think the letter says 6. If you guys say, well, we don't want to pay 8 or something, then we can determine how we would cut back or something, you know.
But the proposal's gonna cover all three of those.
That's correct.
Correct.
Okay.
So
Or-
basically, the proposal that we had broke down to $24,000 for 3 months for the quarter. The proposal from GovHR was strictly for the search, and that was based on 3 months to 4 months, and that was right at $20,000 for strictly the search.
And really, my goal is to stay here. I don't think I can wrap up what I'm gonna do for you guys in 3 months. So my goal is to try to work myself into
Yeah.
a longer term thing. Mike's goal will be to work his way out of here.
Yeah. Gene is of the opinion that when he says, well, it's 3 months, you'll say, no, you can't go. No, that's what Gene's looking for.
And I would hope that would be true.
I think this, I've said this before, I really think this community is a little jewel waiting to sprout, and I think we can get it to happen. And there's sources of funding out there and so forth, and I think we can get some cool things done here.
With the person you find, would you guarantee this person? So if, like, say in 2 years, they're like, you know what, this isn't our thing, or in a year or 6 months, I don't wanna live here anymore, and they just leave. Would you be able to guarantee this person for an amount of time, or?
I think what Trustee Marevka's GovHR, part of their proposal was if the person would leave within the first 2 years, they would redo the search at no cost.
Of course we would do
Oh,
that.
the search?
Sure.
Oh,
Yes,
yeah.
the search.
I thought you wanted your
By
money
the way,
back.
every young person coming out of administration program is taught that the minimum stay in any community is 2 years.
3 years, really.
3. The point is, I sincerely doubt, don't you hate when he does that? I sincerely doubt whether anyone would try to pull that, but we would certainly redo the search, assuming Mike's still alive.
There's, yeah, it should be no surprise to any of you that the way public administrators look at the market is they look at it as a ladder. And they all want to end up in a 500,000 plus community.
Sure.
With a staff of legions and a payroll and a salary to match that. And you're a modest-sized community, so that's always going to be part of the issue, particularly if you get someone good. So it's sort of like, not all bad to have people want who you have. I'm not bragging, but when I was in Oak Forest, Homewood approached me while I was working in Oak Forest. It's the way the process works. No business, no different than the private sector. If you've got somebody good in sales, and they butt heads with a number of companies and they keep getting the contracts, sometimes it's better to buy that person away from, to bring them in. So that's what communities look at. How come they're getting grants? How come, whatever their fire rating is, what it is, how come the capital improvement is in place and the community's solvent? There's those issues. But
Also, I think Mike touched on it earlier, we have a pretty good working knowledge of where the money is to do things, where the grant programs are, where the federal aid urban system hides their money and so forth and so on. And we're gonna teach this young person a lot over the next 2 years, to the point where unfortunately he is gonna probably be in demand. But we're, at the same time, we're gonna be helping this community when we're doing that.
just to add on, and it's not critical, that the market is open, and there are a lot of women entering the public administration market, so excellent administrators. So,
Gene, on the economic development side, without giving away your cards or your leverage, I mean, what's a vision look like for us?
I think if we're open to moving the retailer to the east side of I-57, I've got someone who's really interested in that, and he would come with two other good, quiet retail users, or commercial users. I know there's sentiment on the board against truck stop, but if we could get this guy to bring a restaurant and a hotel, it might start looking a little better for us.
And that would be on the west side.
That's on the west side, yeah, I never agreed with putting the truck stop on the east side.
Oh, you said east a moment ago.
Yeah, east would be
East
for
would be
commercial.
more retail, commercial.
Okay.
Yeah.
West
no,
would be,
Right,
if there was a potential
Right.
truck stop,
Okay.
it would be on the west side.
So
right.
that's not pie in the sky, that's actually something that's.
Oh, yes, sir. That's, all of those I think are pretty immediate. But what I'd really like to do is get my hands on this downtown. I think we could do some really cute stuff downtown. And, you know, some streetscaping and start with some ice cream shops and things like that. And I think we could get some cute cafes, and the next thing you know, we've got Buffalo Grove or something. I know that sounds like BS, but it's not BS, and this community is really well positioned for that, so. The person I'm talking about, the retailer, I've already talked to him about being adjacent or close to the fairgrounds, and that works directly into what we're trying to accomplish with him, as well as that pond over there. So you've got really a lot of really good potential, and I'd love to get my hands on it, you know.
I mean, the town fiscally is in very good shape compared to some of the other surrounding communities that have some serious issues.
But what we'll do is, we'll buy these deals with their own tax money. So, you know, as we get tax increment, or we get a business development district, things like that, and then we'll only give back part of that over a period of time to get those people in here, so that after some number of years, you've got it sustaining itself. You know, there's no magic. Somebody asked me one time, well, what do you do, Gene? How do you do that? I don't know. We just keep stirring and stirring, and we call a lot of people that we know. We put out certain types of material that we create in-house, and somehow we start getting the dirt flying, you know, and once we get the dirt flying, then it seems like it gets easier.
seems like in some cases, and I defer to Gene on these issues, that sometimes a lot of these entities are looking for someone to break ground,
Yeah.
someone to take that first step. And then all of a sudden, the risk seems to be less.
I've got 3 restaurants right now in Homewood, all put together with what we would call a public-private partnership to get the guy in there. But the amount they're giving him is easily going to be grabbed back over a period of time. Homewood, the mayor of Homewood, you might know him, Steve Richofel. He believes that the way to get a very viable community is to bring restaurants in. And man, we've got a ton of good restaurants there now. We've got this great farmer's market, which really isn't even a farmer's market. It's prepared foods. And there might be 1 or 2 farmer's booths there, you know. And it turns into, it's adjacent to the Lavoud restaurant in downtown Homewood. It turns into everybody walking around with a glass of wine that night, you know. And little by little, those people, Empanada has a booth there. They sell wonderful, all different kinds of empanadas. Now we got them to go into a brick and mortar building. And similarly with a group called Sunshine Kitchens. They were using the kitchen at the Cottage restaurant, but now they're looking into putting up a brick and mortar restaurant, or going into one. We just have to start fiddling around and getting some of those things going out here. I'm sorry,
No, you're
Well,
right. No,
that's
that's good.
exactly what we
It's-
want to
Yeah,
hear.
exactly.
There's a lot of projects listed in your proposal, but I didn't see anything about, like, the last communities you placed an administrator in. Can you
Oh,
tell
that's
me
just I think that's just a list of stuff that I've
Okay.
built.
I mean,
Oh,
Give me like the last
Glen-
communities you.
Yeah, Glenwood and Hazel Crest, and assisted in Oak Forest, but it wasn't with a manager, it was with another position.
Glenbard.
Was it?
Was it Glenbard? Where did Terry work for a while and then we
Oh,
put
Glen Ellen.
Glen Ellen.
Yeah,
Put somebody in behind him.
yeah.
I think
Yeah, I
that's-
mean, we're not placement professionals. We're pragmatic, pretty good assessors of situations, and there's no magic. You know, it's not like we've developed software for this thing. It's a question of maintaining networks, letting people know what's available, doing some screening, and pushing and prodding. Yeah, we're not, yeah, we don't have our own building, you know, that says executive search or anything. We're very low-key, pragmatic, hands-on people.
Well, we have a hotline.
I should never have said that.
I'm gonna be trying to get you guys to accept somebody who wants to do economic development, frankly, but that doesn't
And,
mean
but
I'm
that's one of our targets. I mean, it's absolutely one of our targets.
And that's another thing, you know, you get, and it should be no surprise to you, because that position, administrator or manager, depending on village or city, they have their own sort of likes and dislikes or things that they're stronger at than others. Some are very good in finance, some are personnel oriented, some are land, law, planning, and economic development. When I was in that business, yeah, I was more interested in economic development than I was in other aspects of it. I was also really fortunate, I had great people working with me, and we were able to attract really good people, good department managers, which makes it so easy. and they're very sensible people, you know, and responsible. Yeah, that's it in a nutshell. Yeah, this certainly isn't polished, the proposal. You can't even get the numbers right.
Wait a minute, who drafted that? Oh, geez.
Anyway, but we want this to look as sort of an entree to you, to get to know us. And then if it brings up more questions than it answers, we need to know that so that we can sit down and try to resolve those. But we understand, you know, it's a market, you know, it's competition. So, and you've got other people to talk to. But this is where we're coming from, I think, and we believe that we're kind of unique in terms of the services that we provide and the turnaround and the hands-on approach that we get as opposed to assigning it to someone. So that's in a nutshell, and thanks. It's been nice to meet you, if only briefly. And you can contact me directly on the hotline, and you know where Gene is. So,
Any other questions from the trustees?
I have one question. Have you placed administrators in villages of 4,000 or less?
The answer is probably no.
no,
And do you perceive that to be a problem?
I think we'll
it's
find.
an
us-
opportunity.
Yeah, we'll find a group of people who will want a job here,
Yeah.
and some of them will be professional and qualified.
Any of them that do their due diligence and come out here know it's a nice town to live in, raise a family, and work.
By the way, we were instructed in one town to recommend a certain person. We were
Oh, yeah.
instructed by the mayor,
Yeah.
and we don't do that.
Yeah, we said,
We're gonna
yeah,
bring
no
you
thanks.
some people, and we're gonna tell you, here's 3 people, any one of which that would be qualified.
And that's exactly what,
Yeah.
we're looking for.
It's amazing how many times that comes up. Yeah, and I had 2 other towns that did the
Yeah.
same thing. Okay, here's who we want, you justify it.
Yeah, if you just wanted to
And-
cover that kind of thing, we wouldn't be interested.
Yeah, I mean, we're too old. That's their, we're
Really,
starting out.
well, Mike is. Anything else, guys?
So, so you do the search, and then once we get the administrator in place, Gene, you'd still stick around and do consulting as long
as we wanted them
as long as we want.
Yeah, I think at your direction.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not gonna
It's
do
not
something you
nothing
don't
deal.
want.
No, yeah, we'll get him grounded and, and working with you and so forth. And then if you said you still want you to stick around, we'll still stick around. I just want you to know we're not trying to build a job here.
Right.
Except for me, I really want to be here for a while.
Yeah, yeah. I just wanna play golf.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
No, thank you very much, thanks for
Okay.
coming
Thank you
tonight,
very
Okay.
much.
appreciate it.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Be safe.
Well, I mean, we have this on our agenda tonight, you know, as a consideration of proposals for possible action to hire GMT LLC or GovHR in regard to the vacant village administrator position as item B. What are the thoughts of the board?
They're certainly comfortable to work with. Very amicable.
Personable, yeah.
I guess what I'm looking at is GovHR, very professional, I mean, very straightforward, how they're gonna do the search. They're gonna do the search. But we're gonna be 3 to 4 months in before anything happens from that point forward. Here, we've got a lot of things, I mean, we really do, and I'm just saying, I've talked to several people in the last 2 weeks that are interested in doing something in Peotone. And I'm trying to push them forward right now, but I need help. And I think these guys can really be the push forward, you know, to do help with it. I've got, you know, we've sold one building downtown, we've got a gentleman that wants to do something with that. Spoke to another gentleman that just put an offer in on another building downtown that wants to do something with that. Talked to somebody else today that's interested in another building downtown to possibly do something with that. That's kind of more on the fringe, but it's another possibility. I mean, those are 3 downtown things that I don't wanna see go away. You know, I wanna see them go forward because I want the downtown to thrive. Out towards I-57, I've talked to some of the same people that Gene, you know, is talking about. They've contacted me. I mean, the possibilities are definitely there. And I think we need to push forward on those. And I personally think that this is our best, you know, action going forward. That's just my opinion.
They seem very excited and knowledgeable in what they do.
Do you feel GMT frees up your schedule to do?
I mean, my schedule is my schedule, you know, I mean, I try to do whatever I can. I just feel like I am not probably the person to be doing some of this stuff. I need somebody else with a little more wide knowledge, you know, on things. I mean, I go to people, I ask people, I talk to people, but I think just even with Gene and with Mike collaborating, I think it would clear a lot of things up and move things forward, absolutely, yeah, definitely.
I think if somebody comes through the front door of the village hall, wanting to talk business, it's much more professional having those kind of fellows sitting there that know the ropes.
Oh, absolutely.
As opposed to,
Yep.
yeah. I'm real comfortable with them, that's what I'm doing.
And like I said, I mean, the hours, you know, that they're proposing, I mean, Gene's hours are basically, I think, open. I mean, the $2,000 a month that he's asking for as a retainer, he's saying 20 hours, but you're gonna get more than 20 hours out of him. The 12 hours a week that they're talking for the interim village administrator, I think that's probably,
And it would be nice
would fit
too,
in.
it'd be nice too, because then he would learn the job and be able to teach it to the person.
Oh, no,
It's a lot
absolutely, no,
easier.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep. And then, of course, the search along with it, and I think the way that they're proposing to do the search is somewhat similar to what GovHR is going to do, as far as, you know, putting the ad out in the publications, and these guys do have, you know, a wide contact list. I mean, they know a lot of people in the business, and a lot of the assistants, you know, in other
It's a little bit on a
communities. and-
smaller scale.
It is.
Yeah.
But they're local, and they
Right.
kind of have more of a knowledge of people
In the
in our immediate area,
Yeah.
you know. I mean, basically, we're looking at For the quarter, we're looking at $24,000 from GMT, we're looking at $20,000 from WHR, is what it breaks down
We'll
to.
get 3 products
Correct,
versus 1.
correct.
So can I make a motion that we go ahead, proceed with GMT, that, with the proposal to do the job search development and.
What is the term? Is it month to month?
It's, the proposal they gave to us was a 3-month proposal, but it's broken down by the month also. So for the administrator, for the month, it's 48 hours, so like $4,800 for the month. And they pay all of the insurance and everything like that. I mean, that's all included in there. Economic development is $2,000 a month, and the job search was $1,200 a month. So that's $8,000 a month. So if we went 3 months, which is the proposal, pretty much for the job search portion of it, we're looking at $24,000 for the quarter.
And they're just saying that they're looking for a minimum of the first.
Correct, and I think it's gonna take 3 months to get through the search also. And then at that point in time, we're moving on the economic development and we wanna retain, Gene on that end of it, we could continue to do that.
I second Pete's motion.
So a motion by trustee March, seconded by trustee Jones to accept the proposal from GMT for the administrator, interim administrator, economic development, and job search at $8,000 a month for a minimum of 3 months for $24,000 for the quarter.
March,
Yes.
Jones,
Yep.
Marevka,
Yes.
Bowden,
Yes.
Ham,
Yes.
and Parker.
Yes.
Questions of the press?
I have one more quick question.
Yeah, go ahead.
After that first quarter goes by, if we need more time, at that point, we're going month to month as opposed to.
Correct,
quarter.
yes, and that was the conversation that I'd had with them previously. They're not looking to lock,
No.
anything in, and they wanna get the best person here, and they wanna have a continued relationship, with the village too.
So Gene would have a real vested interest.
Oh, I think he does, I think he does. Just to remind everybody, we have the, Aqua's holding the open house next Wednesday on the 12th from 6 to 8 at the high school in the Commons area. If anybody's available to be there, they can, but Aqua's going to be there to provide information to the community. As far as the trustees go, if you just wanna be there, you're more than welcome to do so. Okay. Anything else?
Yeah, just speaking of Aqua, we're gonna be getting the $12 million here pretty soon. I talked about, what are we gonna do with that
Right.
money immediately?
We've got some meetings set up, coming up with a couple different banks and investors and stuff like that, with Marcy. Then we're gonna bring, some information to the board, forward with that, for the investment portion of it.
Did she talk to?
She was going to, I don't know if she had yet or not.
That's important that we do something, because we just kind of roughed up, that's $1,000 a day in interest money.
Yes.
And that's at 3%.
Anything else? All right, if not, a motion to adjourn, please.
Motion.
Second?
Second.
Motion by trustee Marevka, seconded by trustee Parker.
Marevka,
Yes.
Parker,
Yes.
and Ham,
Yes.
and Bowden,
Yes.
March.
Yes.
And Jones.
Yes.
Meeting is adjourned.
Yeah.
Yeah.